extended friend circle. You know,
U.S. dollar being seen as a safe haven asset. Such a move would raise geopolitical questions. One effect would actually be to signal to China and other countries that have strained relations with the U.S. that their central bank assets would be next to be confiscated if, say, China attacked Taiwan. So they would redouble their efforts to keep assets in neutral banking centers and currencies other than the dollar and euro. In the long term, this could undermine U.S. influence, the material said. And I believe that's understated. I think it could be a lot worse than that. And the U.S. is probably dumb enough to pull a move like that because they really are broke and they can't afford their high interest payments towards the massive amount of debt they've accumulated because they're run by, as you all know, that special cabal that owns all the central banks in the world.
The globalist cabal, right? The special globalist cabal that we always talk about. But I just also wanted to say, Truth, if they ever did, basically steal Russia's, forex reserves, the $300 billion. There will be no country in the world that will trust putting their money into American banks again. I will tell you that. Like any country that's as part of the non-aligned bloc, like in the East, like in Asia and South America, Africa, they will not be putting their money in American assets ever again. And that's why, this war is just so important for the globalists because, at the end of the day, they want to show that, they still control the world and the world order and how the world is run and operated. And, at the end of the day, they believe that they can colonize every single country in the world and kind of advance their centralized project. And, thank God for Russia, man. And for that matter, thank God for Iran, right? For kind of leading this multipolarity in the world and the world order. Because frankly speaking, right, I mean, if we didn't have this balance, the entire world would turn into a satanical hellhole, which is honestly what America has become. So I'll pass the mic over. I think you guys know what's going on, and all power to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And if they will confiscate Russian money, I think there'll be big questions about the petrodollar. Like the Arab Gulf countries will. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, thank you.
Just going to give you guys a little more information, Lucian. I'll pass it on to you afterwards. And that's they're getting more creative with how they're going to try to conscript more people because they're desperate to try to get soldiers on the ground because they're essentially running out. So if anybody steps out on New Year's Eve in the so-called democratic and liberated state of Ukraine, where there's nationalized state media, the Russian language and culture have essentially been canceled, and Zelensky has jailed all of his political opponents. And he also arrested a journalist by the name of Gonzalo Lira and detained him for 9 months. I think he just recently got released because he was a fierce critic of Ukraine. But anyways, here's what happens in Ukraine, the so-called free state that NATO supports. If you venture out on New Year's Eve, here's what could happen according to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry. He's devised an ideal plan to ensure compliance with the curfew. Interesting for a democratic state, more like a militarized state. So Seredinsky, the deputy head of Ukrainian police department, stated that individuals assigned to leave their homes will initially be apprehended and taken to the department subsequently and transferred to a military recruitment center. So instant recruitment, instant conscription, essentially. Evidently, Ukrainian Interior Minister aims to achieve two objectives: enforcing everyone's stay-at-home stance on New Year's Eve and facilitating the work of colleagues from military commissions by dispatching those who dissent with this decision to the trenches near Avdiivka, which is where there's currently a battlefield going on. So there you go. There's your free and fair state of Ukraine. That's what happens when you have NATO and U.S. Liberation happening against the Russian army that seeks to liberate Ukraine, disarm them, and also denazify them, which were the initial stated objectives of the special military operation that's been carried out by Russian forces. Lucian, what's up?
Hi, just wanted to ask if there's any other source other than the Fox News and those guys on the attack in Syria that killed 11 senior Iranian military officers, because for some reason I cannot find it in any even Russian, I'm doing the translate thing, I'm not finding it. All I'm finding is trade deals with Russia and stuff, and that's pretty much it. And criticizing what Naftali Bennett did, which is calling for direct war. Is there any other source confirming that there was an attack on Syria and it killed 11 Iranian senior officers?
I don't believe there.
Well, I see reports that.
Sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
I was just going to say, I seen reports that they were saying that it's fake. It's a fake report. That the news outlet that put it out there is mistaken.
You know what's interesting to me? Because I'm reading the very, very boring, the most boring site you can ever find from the Iranian news, and they're all talking about having dealings with Russia giving them more credit line, and they signed this free trade thing with some countries, and there's also talk obviously about the Gaza, the genocide that's going on, but it's more them criticizing what Naftali Bennett did. They're not very focused on. So I'm are these two different wars? Because if anything, they talk about it all the time. They should talk about it, right? But no, nothing. I can't find anything. I was hoping if Truth, maybe because you do Russian and you read Russian, do you have anything from? No? Okay.
I have another. I don't know if you. Sorry.
RT News. That's a Russian. It's in English. Just look up RT.
Yeah.
And stop using Google. Use either Yandex or use Brave.
Yes,
it's a web browser. Yes. You'll get way better access to news. And I'm a member of a bunch of Telegram channels, and I also have access to some Russian reports.
Yeah, or I don't know if it was you or Sarah. Yeah, I'm using that.
Yeah. Well,
also use TASS. 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 It's also a very good source as well. It's
not that I'm not using Google. I'm using all of those, and if all of them are saying something that's the same vicinity, then it's true. But I couldn't find the 11. But you're saying RT. I'll go look.
Also check out TASS. TASS. It's also a Russian media channel. It provides pretty accurate information about what's happening in the region.
I'll give a quick recap of the Russian offense or the Russian special military operation and the rest of what will formerly be known as Ukrainian cities. So Lviv is a NATO mercenary base, energy and warehouses, those got hit. Meltinsky, airfields and airplanes, warehouses were hit. Kyiv, factories and energy infrastructures have been hit. Airfield warehouses and energy and infrastructure in Kharkov have been hit. In Odessa, they've hit the terminals. Odessa is a port city, by the way. And the warehouses and obviously the ports have been hit. Nikolaev, Artfield, port, field terminals, control, headquarters. Kherson, the air defense missile systems, sites, warehouses, equipment, personnel, and Panton equipment. Then Dnepropetrovsky, Yuzmash airfield, Kanatop, Sumskaya, enemy air defense equipment, warehouses, and energy areas have been hit. Zaporozhyev, energy, air defense systems, terminals, air defense, and air defense systems. So Russia has essentially neutralized all of Ukraine's, I'd say the ports, all of its defense systems. They've also seized a lot of their weapons in the battlefield because a lot of Ukrainians have surrenders. They do have PWs as well. So Russia hasn't just been using its own weapons. It's been using, guess whose weapons? NATO. So we're just keeping them, reselling them for all I know. But that part we never find out about. Russia doesn't need to sell weapons anyway. They make better ones, I think. So anyways, that's just to give a recap of what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. Just a matter of time before I think unconditional terms of surrender will be issued Whereas Zelensky, not Zelensky. Zelensky's too stupid to do it, but he's just a puppet anyway. But Zelensky will eventually beg Putin just to stay alive, and maybe Putin will make him some kind of deputy constable or whatever in maybe a police rank. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Or he'll just make him a servant, which is what he should be. Nathan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Ukrainians have been selling them the weapons. To be honest, like the bigger ones, like the armored vehicles, they've literally been. Even it was reports of them flying planes over and selling them to the Russians. Some of they just basically don't even want to fight. Most of these guys. Some of these guys ain't even got no training. But there's one more thing I was gonna add. You mentioned the self-defense systems. I'm glad you did. So Ukraine, Zelensky was claiming that Russia's been targeting hospitals, the usual claims or whatever. But what they're not telling people is, which is what always happens, is their own air defense systems that's actually done it. So when Russia hit some of those air defense systems, some of them went off and fired some of the missiles, and that's how some of the infrastructure got hit as well, like the high-rise buildings and whatnot. But they don't mention that part. Was you able to hear me there clearly?
Sorry, what's that, Nathan?
I said, was you able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, I heard what you said.
Yeah.
They basically neutralized anything Ukraine can do, even if they were to get more troops. When you don't have proper defense system, you're short on cash, you're short on arms. What are you going to do with troops? Right? If you're not even sure the U.S. and EU are going to fund you, I just don't understand why they don't just do what's in the best interest of their civilians. But I guess it's not really their choice, right? The U.S. won't let them quit, and they're keeping the top officials paid, but no one else. So this war comes at the expense, unfortunately, of
Truth, I've got a quick question.
What's that?
Right? So what other armies do we know that have engaged in armed conflict that have put masses of women on the front line? Can you think of any other conflict?
Yeah, but then I don't know.
And then,
Nathan, here's the thing: some of those women may identify as men. They might be transgenders. We're not sure because Israel.
Well, we do know
they're the originators of the surgeries and also that culture. So I think Samuel's one of them. He was once a woman. I think he transitioned into a man. That's why he's got that soy boy energy, that high estrogen energy. And he's dying to talk. That's why he has his little emoji seizures like a little girl. So
when it comes to this IRGC, I'm looking at Al Mayadeen. It says this comes after multiple media outlets report that 11 members of IRGC were assassinated in Israeli airstrikes yesterday night in Damascus. The report cited the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, but no actual evidence was provided to the reports. And they are usually very correct.
I'm sorry.
Al Mayadeen. Al Mayadeen. It's called Al Mayadeen.
I have a
They're
hard
linked
time
to.
understanding, whenever you speak, I cannot because
it's
the
Al
voice
Madeen.
changer is terrible.
It's Al Madeen. That's for Syrian.
Maybe you should.
It's an Arabic source. Sorry, go on.
It's linked to Hezbollah. Maybe you should fix your hearing aid.
Okay, he said. Okay.
no she's not making it up.
I just
Your
think
voice-
so.
It's not easy for the average person to hear what you're saying. I'm used to your voice now, but I understand what she's saying. Sometimes it comes through. I don't know if it's your mic or something, but it's not smooth. It's a bit scratchy.
Okay. Are you guys in the mood for some entertainment? Should we bring the
Wait, before that, I have one very quick question. I saw these videos of Ukrainian men being grabbed and sent by force or sent to fight war. My question is, how is that? How are they gonna fight? They're trying to escape, and you're taking them there.
They get shot if they don't fight. That's
No,
the
I
full
understand.
power.
What do you mean?
If
Whenever
they kill them. That's what I mean. If you don't obey orders, you get shot.
I mean, it's.
Oh, by the way,
bizarre,
Lucy, I have an update from Ibrahim. He says that attack did happen on the Iranians, but they never got shot dead. So that part's a lie. I'm just gonna pull up what they're lying about killing the 11 Iranian military leaders. So.
But that attack on Syria did happen, right?
there were some IRGC-backed militants that got shot dead. Yeah, but they weren't Iranian, which is what I tried to explain to the Zionist Shil Samuel. But
Okay. Look, like, isn't it bizarre? I've never seen, like, the 8 years we had that far, no one was forced to go fight that war with Iraq. Like, it's very bizarre for me to see forcefully taking someone, and they're gonna run away when they're over there. How are they gonna fight?
so which fight are you talking about?
Ukrainian men. Very unfortunate.
They get killed if they try to leave the battlefield. When they try to surrender, they get killed.
There's not many left. Over 500,000.
Some get lucky though. Some get lucky. I think it depends on which group of Russians they run into at the time and the time of the battle. Some of them do get lucky where they're able to surrender, like,
That's their best option.
at close contact.
Surrender, become PWs, and destroy in Russia. And some of them have. Russia's given that option. Russia's actually showed a lot of mercy for those willing to surrender. They actually treat them with respect. It's not like in Israel where they torture, beat, and rape them in the prisons and break their limbs. Right? Russia actually shows mercy to PWs, and they've actually done a lot of exchanges too. And the Ukrainian PWs have come back in fine condition. They're fed properly. They're taken care of. Again, unlike what the Zionist entity does. So.
Well, I'm glad
It's not the Russians.
because it's like those men. You can't like force people to fight if they don't want to. I'm glad.
Listen, I don't think you understand how it works during time of war. When there's conscription, when you're a man, you have to fight for your country. That's just how it works.
Otherwise, they get shot by their own. It's not the Russians who are killing them. When they're trying to surrender, if their own sees that, they shoot them from the back. The Russians allow them to surrender. That's not the issue. And take good care of them. It's the Ukrainians.
Yeah, but she's talking about before that, though. She's talking about actually getting them to the battlefield, and the ones that literally don't want to go. So basically, they get threatened, and they either get threatened or they'll get locked up. So it's like one or the other. What are you gonna do? And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do kill some of them, but I don't think most of them they kill straight away. I think they just threaten them with imprisonment, and that kind of just motivates them to. The other thing is they threaten their families as well. So that kind of motivates them to go. And I think most of them just go and they try to surrender, if they get caught in artillery or different strikes or whatnot, or ambushes. Most of them, they drop their weapons straight away if they survive the initial attack. And Russia obliges them. It's not like, say, when the IDF is attacking certain individuals and then probably catching them wounded and finishing them off. Russia's actually treating them and allowing them, because they know most of them don't want to fight. So if they survive an initial attack or initial raid, Russia will allow them to surrender straight away.
I saw yesterday a video of two of them crawling and trying to reach to the Russians so they could surrender, and a Ukrainian drone dropped a grenade on them.
I saw that. That was terrible.
Okay. So, I don't know, man. Like, the guy with the dot, you couldn't come up with a name or something. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be for your profile picture. I was curious. But like, you have @7G33623. Like, seriously? I mean, I don't know if you're a bot or if you're some Zionist shit. But go ahead, identify yourself.
No, I'm not a bot. Certainly, that was just me being secretive about my identity. Well, I'm nobody important. I'm just a regular listener to these spaces, and I'm very grateful to all you experts. That's just a picture of an astrolabe I saw in the British Museum, among all the other stolen goods at the British Museum. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you well, clearly.
Yeah.
I'm not a Russian.
I was.
Truth also, if you can check the DM, Truth.
And I'm not a Russian bot neither. I'm real.
Okay. One, I only request you to speak there to ask two quick questions. Hoping somebody here knows any answers. One was about the Russian-Iranian deal about, I think it was Su-35 jets. Is that real? Is that happening? When is it expected, if anybody knows? The other one, if I can just ask it in one go and then I'll go quiet, is this news about the ship that was attacked by Ansarullah in Bab al-Mandab region, MSC United.
When?
Well, 2-3 days ago, probably. There was some I think some misinformation spread on some social media. I think I saw it on Facebook. Some people criticizing it, saying it wasn't even Israeli. But what happened? Did that ship actually just didn't turn on their, what was that, their GPS transponder? Is there any details to that? Because people were criticizing it, criticizing the resistance, as some people do. They just need opportunity to do that. Anyway, I'll go on quiet. So the Su-35 news and this MSC United, what really happened? If anybody knows. Thank you.
Okay, your first question, you're talking about the Su-35 fighter jets that Russia made a deal with Iran to sell? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I was hoping that
was over a month.
Yeah, so that's really happening because that is a big game changer.
Yeah. Iran's already a force to be reckoned with. Now they're going to have better fighter jets.
Yeah,
why do you think Israel's not attacking them and they're desperate for the U.S. to do it?
Yeah, I know. But countering, incoming jets, I don't know. There's some air superiority issues, and there's some air defense issues that I can, again, who am I to comment on these matters? But as an observer, like with Syria, Israel bombs every other day. I know there is air defenses, but there is this famous Russian, what is that, 400 something, S-400 or something that they were supposed to
that's
give.
their defense system, the S-400,
Yeah.
That's right.
So
yeah, they have it.
They have it, okay.
Yep.
But I would love to hear some news of some of the Israelis getting a taste of their medicine, dropping in Syria or something.
You can just Google this stuff, man, or just go to Yandex. Like, I don't feel like going into Iran's entire artillery and military arsenal. It's substantial. They have an army, maybe they have an air force. They do have an air defense system. I think they do have nuclear weapons, and Israel probably knows about it because they spy so much, and they have spies within Iran. So that's why they're not daring to attack them. That's why the only they do are through Syria and Iraq on the bases there, and then it's tit for tat. It's back. It's just been incremental. I don't think it's going to go past that because, again, Iran's a force to be reckoned with, and they're backed up by Russia. The same way that Iran supported Russia and gave or manufactured drones for them and missiles, Russia will gladly support Iran if they get into another war. But Iran doesn't seek to get into a war. So,
yeah, it seems like that's right. But I was just curious because the Iranian Air Force is criticized as having old that F-14s which need a lot of repair and also.
I mean, what's going on with your speaker? Are you we can't understand what you're saying. It's worse than VZ's.
It's probably my cheap Bluetooth headset that I've got. I'll probably turn that off.
It's fine. Anyway, it's hard to understand you.
Can you hear?
Joshua, do you have a question?
Yeah, these wars, the Ukrainian wars, are fake war. It's escalated by Boris Johnson and the Tory government. Their sponsors made billions, and they escalated the food. They escalated petrol, diesel, everything went up. And Boris Johnson was there in September 2021 with Zelensky in Ukraine. Then you've got the fake war with Israel and Hamas. I'll just go downstairs because I've got my son. I'm keeping him awake.
I thought you had just finished a job.
No, just 1 minute. I haven't finished yet. The fake war
you not deep breathe into the microphone, please?
What's
Yeah,
going on with people today?
no, sorry about that. I was waking my son up. His son's asleep in the next bedroom, right? The fake war with Israel. Israel's lied. He's been caught. General Flynn is now on to Benjamin Netanyahu, who's going to investigate him. We're going to be arrested. The Israeli people want him arrested. They know he's lied. There was 9 hours stand down. Israel has lied to his people and had his people murdered. Why? It was because Benjamin Netanyahu and his Mossad criminals wanted to go to war with Hamas in Gaza City and bomb it and flatten it. And that is exactly what he has done. He could have killed Hamas at the border. He didn't. He let them come into Israel. There was a stand down for 9 hours. He could have come and rescued his own people and the people at the festival, foreign nationals, who are 4,000 there and more. He let the men, women and children be slaughtered. Simple as that. He's been caught. Operation Iron Sword. 2 days before they attacked Hamas, the Tory government I debriefed on the 4th of October and the 5th of October. I went to the Tory conference in Manchester and called it Operation Iron Sword. Benjamin Netanyahu's been caught. He used my secret coded message. He knew they were going to be attacked. So why did it take 9 hours to come and rescue his people? He's been caught. There's no two ways about it. The Israeli people then went on the news, went to his palace, demonstrated outside, calling for Benjamin Netanyahu and his generals to be arrested for treason and for dereliction of duty for not going rescuing their people. They could have killed every single one of them Hamas at the border. They didn't. They let them come into Israel. They let them dig up the fence. They let them slaughter their own people. So Benjamin Netanyahu's excuse was, right, we're going to war. When the people of Israel accused him of treasonous acts, of genocide and mass murder against his own people, calling him for him to be arrested, he then created a coalition of the willing in Israel then. And that's what he did. He said, no, we'll sort this out afterwards. We're going to war first with Hamas, with Gaza Strip. We're going to bomb the fuck out of it and we're going to flatten it. And that's what he did. Simple as that. He's been caught. The guy's a monster. He's also planning a war with Iran. You think he wouldn't use nuclear weapons?
Are you okay, Joshua?
Hey, Joshua. Benjamin Netanyahu is not getting arrested anytime soon. He's not getting prosecuted for anything, right? He's committed tons of crimes and war crimes. I don't think you really understand how Israeli politics and the law works. There are no real laws that apply to Israeli politicians. They act with impunity, and they use the army to enforce all their crimes. So it's wishful thinking on your part. Sure, he wants a war with Iran. He's wanted a war with Iran for 20 plus years. Wow, you just figured that out? He hasn't said it a million times. You talk with such passion as if you just learned all this yesterday. Come on, man. He's been accusing Iran of developing weapons of mass destruction or nuclear weapons for how long? And he wants the U.S. to bomb them, but they won't. Because they know that Iran is a formidable force and they don't want to start a regional war or start a war they can't win. They put Iran through a 9-year war against Iraq. What happened? Iran's still standing. Yeah, they lost over 500,000. Well, from 1980 to 1988, do the math. It's actually 9 years, Lucy.
8, I swear.
80? No,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, but you're wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's fine. Anyway, Joshua, sorry, man, but you're not telling the panel anything they don't already know that hasn't been widely known for years. So in terms of dereliction of duty, cool. Think that's his worst crime right now? You don't think using chemical weapons is worse, like phosphoric bombs, thermogenic bombs, depleted uranium, human shields? You don't think like other criminal activities are safe harbor, providing safe passage for pedophiles and rapists and organ harvesters? Like, he's committed so many crimes. Do you think dereliction of duty is what's going to bring him down? Dude, like...
This might be the only time I wish someone said "che" instead of...
You're the most, I don't know, this is the most novice analysis I've ever heard, with respect. Anyway, I'm done with it, so. Zachary, how's it going? Are you there?
Yeah.
Sorry to insult your intelligence there for a minute. I don't know. I tried this amateur out, but seriously, he was hurting my ears with his shitty mic and his heavy breathing into the mic, and then he offered zero value to this conversation.
Dude, I was waiting to
confusing
say
kids.
exactly what you just said to him.
He's just a complete idiot. He thinks he's saying something that nobody knows. But he wants this. He's just feelings, you know? It's like I haven't read anything in years, and I just want to tell you what I feel. So that's cool. I mean, I watched the soap opera if I want to explore my feelings.
It was a monologue. It was a monologue of...
He just kept going and repeating himself. He's driving me nuts. Here, how's it going?
Dude, the Russian flag, are you Russian?
Yeah, I'm part Russian. What?
Part Russian. No, I'm just curious here. Are you from...
No one knows what it is.
He's pissed.
I'm not super active on Twitter.
Okay.
Are you?
You have a pretty big following though. You got like 91,000 followers. Are those bot followers, or you actually developed that over time?
I used to be really active in the day trading community.
Okay.
And then I had a government job. I had to go off of Twitter for a while.
Okay. So is that it? Is that all you want to ask me?
I didn't want to ask you anything. I was just listening.
Okay. Okay. Well, you requested to come up. I thought you might have something to say.
Oh no! I just always do that just in case there's something interesting.
Okay.
Why are you so angry today, Truth?
I'm not angry. I'm just asking questions.
Are you
So
Are you out here in the United States?
Why are you asking this question?
I'm not going to dox myself, man. So please don't ask questions. But obviously, I grew up in the West. You can tell by my accent. That I can't hide. So just leave it at that. But I've lived in many places. I speak many languages. I've traveled to many countries, and I have knowledge on many subjects. I'll leave it at that. But if you have a question about something, feel free to ask. I provided a bunch of updates on Russia. We were discussing Gaza before that. I entertain Zionists once in a while just for the pleasure and amusement of the panel.
Hey, fair enough. Hey, at the end of the day, I respect your response that you had to that dumbass earlier.
I'm glad you got some shits and giggles out of it. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep it a high IQ conversation, right? So when guys like that come on and just want to vent or talk about their feelings without actually knowing anything, it's just dereliction of duty. Come on. Seriously, that's
the exact right phrase. Yeah.
Okay, well. Cool, man. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Same to you, Lucien. You always ask good questions, and I'll do my best to answer. So, and I'll bring up Ibrahim in a bit. He's just kind of waking up. We also try to bring up journalists so they can give us live updates on what's actually going on the ground, because I bypass mainstream media news. I rely on independent source news from actual sources on the ground. So that's why I try to be as accurate as I can. Though I'm never perfect. Mistakes can be made. We do our best to correct them if they do happen. So anyway, that's that. On that note, grasslands, what's happening? Or grass lawn, what's happening?
Hey man, how are you?
Not bad.
You've been running some marathon spaces recently, yeah?
Yep.
Good, man. Just a couple of things really, a couple of observations and a question. So one observation is Israel, or Israel's proxy, the New York Times, released yet another, monologue about rape. And what I'm noticing is quite interesting. This time what their trick was that it was a Pulitzer journalist, I don't know who it is, but apparently it's quite famous, and they've been working on it for 3 weeks. And I think it got released this morning. And what I'm noticing is every attempt now has a shorter half-life. So I don't know why they keep doing it, but by this time that story got released, I saw it being yapped about by various Zios for about half an hour. And then every comment, of course, says, show me proof. I actually went through and read it, and it was 2,000 words of if, buts, and maybes, with very imaginative imagination, I must say. So I thought that was quite interesting, that all of their bullets, all of their PR bullets are just running out of speed very quickly nowadays. Question, what do you think all this, I mean, it's a bit narcissistic, but what was all this doxing wars about in the last 3 days on both sides? It just seemed to go mental. It was very unedifying. But even on our side, people were just going nuts, and I just don't get it. The question really is, I agree with you that the Iran thing is complete puffery, because the one thing we know about Americans and Israelis is they can't handle dead bodies. And a war with Iran would involve a lot of dead bodies of their soldiers. And their soldiers are incompetent anyway, but a lot of their people would die. And secondly, the minute they enter Iran and have America looking at Iran, China takes Taiwan. So that's all a load of nonsense. America could technically take out Iran, maybe, but it's a 2-year war that would cause so much chaos. They'd lose so many.
It's a suicide.
Pardon?
Suicide.
Yeah, it is. And not only that, Iran have assets all over the planet that would start a terrorism war. I mean, it's just, and the Americans know all of this, right? So this is just all nonsense. Iran is never going to happen. I don't even know why they're bothering. And, what our friends in Yemen showed is, I'm sure they've got chess moves like that up their sleeve. No, it wouldn't just be a military fight. They would make it economically unviable for America to sustain that war for very long. I was wondering, I haven't heard from Layla in a couple of days. What's her perspective on that? And maybe you can discuss that a little bit. That's what I've got for now.
Okay, I mean, sorry, 1 second. Don't want to add him. I'm going to add Jalal. I mean, the doxing really is like gossip, you could say. I really don't care for it. I don't like to engage in it too much. We talked about it for a bit, first couple of days, because one of the main guys that got doxed, BZ/Darko/Mitch, whatever his name is, he was essentially a main spokesman for the IOF. He was doing a lot of Zionist spaces. He was on Mario Space for a while. Mario platformed it. And he actually did co-host the space with an IOF spokesman as well. So, yeah, it turns out he's a fraudster. He's got rap sheet.
Quincy, who I know in real life, he and I had a chat about it, and we think why they're all acting out is he's got loads of shit on all of them, and that's why they're all freaking out about it.
Well, I mean, if that's true, it probably is, because I heard he recorded phone calls. And why would you want to embarrass the guy further? I'm not sure. But apparently, he's out on probation. He might have been arrested. I have no idea what his deal is. Maybe he's hiding out in Mexico and he's changed his name to Mitch. No one really knows. The guy's a fraud. So we just know that he's posed as a IOF hitman, a diamond dealer, I believe an engineer, a doctor who could perform miracle cures, and a lawyer who used to work at the DOJ who did cases. I mean, this guy's like the Catch Me If You Can guy from the movie that Leonardo DiCaprio played the role of.
Except he's very ugly.
Okay. And that was a completely made-up role. It was all a sham. That never actually happened. The guy lied about all that too. But this is the real-life deal. He's the Twitter swindler, essentially. Then the other one, Stealth. I mean, Stealth, apparently the mistake she made was admitting that she takes objectives. She takes instructions from the IOF. I didn't really confirm whether she's paid. She probably is a paid shield, but I don't know if she's actually been paid. I can't confirm that definitively, so I won't comment. But, I mean, if she's like the other Hasbara shields, they do get paid for tweets. And
she's a honeypot, bro. She's the honeypot.
Yeah. She called me a honeypot. Funniest thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's an audio honeypot, and that's how she attracts all of her listeners.
I don't know what a honeypot is.
Just real quick, right? Look, bro, listen. I knew from the first time I heard her voice, the way she lies relentlessly. It is so easy for her to lie, but I knew straight away that she was a honeypot. And what I mean by that is, I think she goes around sleeping with men on the regular, bro. Because when you come into a space talking about, oh, I don't drink, but it's clearly obvious that you drink. And then if you look at the pictures, look at all the parties, that she's probably going to, and come on, man. It's clear what your job is. It's just a honeypot, man. Very simple. Try to get information out of men, swindle them somehow. She's like in the Ghislaine Maxwell sort of thing, but obviously an adult.
She's fresh of Romanian descent, and she's Jewish based on her last name.
Is she pretty?
But didn't you marry a Jewish guy?
Probably.
Yeah, this is the thing about that, right? So she claimed that
she
was married to a widow.
She said
right, that's what I'm saying.
A sniper.
But the truth is, though, she actually got a divorce from her husband not long ago, or so many years back.
Yeah, I mean, that tweet suggests that she's committed some federal crimes, and there are serious people who are going to follow that through.
If you're taking instructions from a foreign government and carrying out their objectives, that makes you a foreign agent. You have to register legally, and she hasn't done that. So she could get in trouble for that. I don't think
Is
she
that a thing in Canada too, Truth? Because I think, isn't she Canadian?
I think she's French Canadian. I don't know if she's living in Canada.
What's the difference? What's the difference between regular Canadian and French Canadian?
Well, apparently, from other reports, other sources was sorry, just real quick. They were saying that you wouldn't classify yourself that if you were if she was really from Canada. They said that you wouldn't call yourself a French Canadian.
She's Canadian, period. It doesn't matter. There's only one Canadian citizenship. But that aside, you're not allowed to carry out the objectives of a foreign government for political means and get paid for it. You have to register yourself then. No one knows if she's even declaring that revenue. But I mean, she's still doing spaces, just last I checked. She doesn't seem to care. I guess there's a double.
She said she's spending her holiday in Hawaii last night, and I'm like, well, bitch, you spend a lot of time on spaces for being in Hawaii.
Did you listen to her space yesterday, Matt?
I was like incognito listening anonymously last night.
Did she address the tweet and the doxing or?
Not that I heard. I might have missed that part, but I didn't hear any of that. It was like really dumb shit they were talking about.
So the usual.
Yeah, like I was like, what is the topic of this space? Like,
I was on her space once, and they go so far in the deep end with their ridiculous theories that Hamas is so rich, they live in these crazy mansions, they own 3 Bugattis, they've been robbing the Palestinians for years, no proof of any of these assets, no paper trail. I wonder, like, if that were actually true, and the U.S. designates Hamas as a terrorist organization, why don't they sanction their assets? Why don't they seize their assets? Because there's no paper trail. They don't exist. That's simple. When you bring that up, you know, they deflect. They change the subject. So, but they keep repeating those same lies, hoping for them to be true. It's amusing to me. Samuel Adams is still waiting to speak. This guy, Samuel, I want to see 100 emojis. Maybe I'll let you up then. Let's go. Give me some push-ups too, and sit-ups. Get in shape, boy. Maybe the IOF will recruit you. You can put all that energy to better use. This guy, such persistence.
I have a gut feeling, right, that Samuel's matched out. I have a feeling she's co-opted, and most definitely. Because I'm sure she's done it to quite a few guys. No, not even on the payroll. Just pure honeypot. Maybe a nude or two. Maybe a kiss, you know, something like that. You know, a date, meet up for coffee, a drink, you know. And if they're special, they might get a shag if they got something important that or of value that can be used. But yeah, she's definitely honeypotting these guys, big time.
Wouldn't they make her prettier? I just thought she kind of looked like an old trashy blonde in that chicken video.
I don't know, man. If I'm Angelina Jolie, I'd be like, what the hell? What are you using
I'd be pissed. I mean, Angelina Jolie's on the side of the people of Gaza and the Palestinians. I'd be like going after her for slander, putting her name or her face on such a terrible message.
And then
it'll be the voice.
Incident of craziness with Sharif going after Didi. I mean, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah, listen, I don't like to engage in gossip.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's just a bit silly.
There's a lot of threads about it. I think it's all a bunch of nonsense, but
I never read them. It's like such a waste of time. Like sometimes
I'm always like, wait, where's the evidence?
I would read is actually truths, and sometimes like Sarah's and stuff, because like I find stuff in there. But if it doesn't fit, I have to put expand. I'm not reading it. If it's not, you know, again, truth stuff about Russia, because I don't know anything about. But yeah, it's such a waste of time, I think.
The thing that annoyed me about that is I don't care what Didi's done in the past or at all. I hadn't even been on Spaces 10 weeks ago. In the last 10 weeks, Didi's Space has educated me, given me a place to listen, given me a place to get over shock and grief, educated me, introduced me to lots of new people, given me ideas. So it's just like, it's all nonsense. Anyway, so
the Russia stuff is too much. Like I can't even keep up. Every time I think I know, then some other name comes up. Truths like this person. Like, okay, who the F is this one? Or some new. I'm learning about new countries too.
Okay.
I was confused by Sharif's post today, like apologizing to everyone he ever offended, and I was like, what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. Samir did a space last night, and they were mocking him pretty hard. They were, I don't know, somebody did a mock-up of his look, comparing it to like Boy George or something, so he looked like a granny or something. So I think He's kind of regretting what he did, both doxing and insulting Didi. Look, when you have a big following, you're going to be a target. And I'm just saying this generally, Didi aside. So, I mean, especially if you're ex-military, she's not the first one. I mean, look at Abner Lucas Gage as well. He's done. He's an ex-military officer as well. So now you take anti-U.S. government positions and you're vocal about it, and you've also basically doxed yourself, exposed yourself. For sure they're going to come after you. For sure they're going to sideline you. For sure they're going to trash you in the media. They're going to make up shit that's probably not true. Maybe it is, maybe it is. I have no idea. I haven't seen any proof, so I'm not going to draw any conclusions. I like to stick to facts. That's why I wait and I wait. I never want to be the first to tweet out a story because you just never know if it's true or not. Because there's so much fake news out there. So I like to see multiple sources on it before I'll even comment.
All right, then don't get mad when I ask you, did this happen all the time? Because, yeah, same.
I've never gotten mad at you. I just don't like you when you interrupt. There's a difference. I don't get mad at you if you ask questions. You can ask all the questions you want. So just sometimes you want to speak for me or you want to tell someone off too. You're not always nice yourself, Lucien, okay? You got a little sour side to you as well. And you're the emoji queen. Yeah, there you go. Samuel, I'm not seeing any emojis, bro. I don't think you really want it that bad. I don't know, bro. Time could be better spent. Hopefully you're doing some push-ups or something.
That's probably why you can't send the emojis.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, never mind.
He's doing push-ups.
He must be doing them one.
He's crying.
Cry more.
Crying means you have to do 20 more.
Not sending them fast enough.
So.
And what was the last you heard from Layla and Lebanon?
I haven't heard from Layla in a couple of days. I've heard from Hala. I've heard from Elijah. Lebanon? Oh, it's back and forth.
I was going to see if you can get Ibrahim.
Sorry?
Ibrahim is in Lebanon, if you want me to invite him.
Sure, I invited him earlier. He said he was sleeping, or he's kind of half asleep.
He just DM'd me, so he must have just woken up because he said good morning, and I'm like, it's nighttime.
Yeah, he's always welcome up. Yeah, I mean, he hangs around. I don't know. He says, I don't like to be around if there's Zios, but then when the Zios are there, he goes into villain mode. He's like, Habibi, come, tell your government, come, we have special surprise for your soldiers. Come, we'll destroy Tel Aviv. And just goes into villain mode. And yeah, I mean, if he does come up, I'll ask him, and then we'll bring Samuel up and he can check him. So, but essentially what he did say, and he's listening, so he can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I understood it correctly. U.S. government actually tried to appease Hezbollah or come at them with a peace deal so that they wouldn't actually go to war with Israel, and Hezbollah said no. So they're trying to neutralize Hezbollah. They're not buying it. So, and then I have another guy from Lebanon. He's on the Christian militia side. They don't like Hezbollah just because he's got his reasons, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure you guys know who he is. Him and I go back and forth. He thinks Hezbollah should be incorporated into the army and incorporated with the Lebanese army and do whatever the government says, even though Hezbollah does actually make up, with their coalition, about 47% of the parliament. So they're the authority in Lebanon. They call the shots. They're the ones protecting the border. So they essentially are protecting the national security of their country. So, whereas based on what I've been told by, I think, Hala and Layla, the Lebanese army, as per U.S. rules, which makes no sense to me, can't even be armed properly. So that's why they have this resistance movement to protect the country. So there have been clashes back and forth. There have been some civilians killed. It's like it's honestly, grassland. It's like happening on a daily, almost every few hours. There's a missile attack one way or the other, but it's just incremental back and forth. So it hasn't gone past like the occupied territory because Shabbat is still technically occupied and belongs to Lebanon. So at some point they're going to push them back, I think, just like they did in 2006, so they can regain the rest of their territory. But if you want to refer back to Smotrich's Greater Israel map, Israel wants all of Lebanon because there are it's about natural resources. There's natural gas fields at the port that they want, and that's disputed territory.
Yeah, one thing someone I was talking to was saying was for Lebanon to end, if a war with Lebanon starts, it's a long war, right, at least a year. And for Lebanon to get engaged in that war, they need to reorient their economy to be suitably, armed up. And if you go with the theory that they didn't know about October 7, came as a complete surprise, then what's going on right now is Iran are just, reconfiguring their economy to make sure they can sustain a long war. And once they're ready to do that and got all their guards, all their army in place and got them through training, they will engage. They certainly won't let Gaza fall. And there's probably a certain point, let's say, when Hamas get down to about 20% of their forces, that they must have a number, and that's the moment they'll engage. I thought that was quite an interesting theory.
I think Iran.
She's down there too.
What percentage of their forces do you think Hamas is at right now?
No, they haven't killed many at all. I think they've killed maybe 10-15% max. Barely any.
I mean, during all these 2 months, I have seen only 2 videos where 2 Hamas fighters was killed, which IDF have released. Nothing more than that. Okay, probably some have been killed from the bombing, that's obvious. But when it comes to combat footage, I've only seen 2 videos, that's all. I don't know if anyone has seen much more than that. But
I haven't seen videos. I've seen only one picture of 2 IDF soldiers standing beside 4 or 5 people that they claim to be Hamas members laying down on the ground, and that's the only picture I've seen that shows anything that could be Hamas dead.
Look, all I know, if they killed significant Hamas soldiers, they'd be parading them around, and they wouldn't have to arrest civilians in different parts of Gaza who are actually like entrepreneurs, barbershop owners, or whatnot, who've been clearly identified by other Palestinians, and stripping them down to their underwear. And they've also created, I guess, like another concentration camp within the stadium in Gaza. So it's like another jail where they're just humiliating, dehumanizing Palestinians, because that's what they do. So they wouldn't have to resort to such tactics if they'd actually killed any Hamas militants. But that's not even their objective. They've already said what their objective is. It's not about accuracy and precision. It's about mass destruction of Gaza. They want to take it over because it's got natural gas, oil, and they want to build the David Ben Gurion Canal in summary. There you go, Samuel. Let's see some more emojis. Ha ha, it's so funny, right? Lucian, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say, Truth, I think you and I are gonna go to hell for how we talked to that guy that was breathing into the mic. I feel so bad. Like, we literally made him not ever wanna, read any news ever again. And also, Samuel,
I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I think now he'll actually think before he speaks, do some research.
Yeah, I know. Like,
listen a lot more before he just goes on. Before he just has a little tantrum and goes about his feelings. This is a serious case.
Yeah. Okay. And also, Samuel threw more than 100 emojis, by the way.
So give me a thumbs up if you want me to bring Samuel up for 5 minutes of entertainment after we hear from Nathan. That's 2. Anyone else? Oh man, Samuel only. Oh, we got 5. Okay, you got 6. Okay. Look at that, Samuel. You're getting some love, eh? Yeah.
Fuck him, but still. Oh, excuse my French.
Okay, Nathan, go ahead, and then we'll bring our little friend up.
Yeah, firstly on Samuel, he's been a good boy. He's still here. Might as well be nice to give him a few minutes. But on the videos of the men, when they're stripping them down, that's just basically propaganda for inside Israel. And so they can say, oh, we're catching fighters, they're surrendering. Look, they're surrendering en masse, when really we know they're just, most of them are ordinary civilians, if not all of them. Sometimes you see children. Basically, that's just a propaganda campaign. Also, they're planning a mass propaganda campaign on pushing a movie and some other things as far as with like the atrocities that are supposed to have happened, the rapes and all that there. So you guys should be looking forward to that. I don't know if you want to start getting prepared to debunk it all, because they're really like about to start a mass campaign in the new year, pushing like the atrocities with different videos, different interviews with different hostages who are going to start telling stories of how they were raped, how they were treated badly, how they were treated like animals, kept in cages. Like, they're about to ramp it up on a serious level as far as like incorporating Western media, like whatever Western media they can, they're going to incorporate them into this whole operation of pushing this narrative out. So you guys should get prepared for that.
I mean, they already came out with their 45-minute video compilation of bullshit about Hamas somehow magically had time to rape, or like what was it, 58 women, 58 Hamas militants raped one woman. They have the samples to prove it. Or like 2 months later, because samples actually last that long, sperm samples I'm referring to. And that's while they were dodging bullets, Apache, Hellfire shells, tank shells, and crossfire with IOF militants who actually killed most of the rapers and civilians, I believe, while they carried out a massive cannibal directive. Somehow, magically, they had time to commit rape. And they also raped both women and men, apparently. And they also had time to like behead babies and also put one in the oven. Because, they had time to do a little cooking operation, too, while they're dodging crossfire. Very believable. And they also went house to house. Don't forget about that lie, which they don't use anymore. Because nothing actually happened at nighttime. They were going house to house and actually massacring people in houses. I mean, they doubled down.
But not only that, Truth, they managed to burn civilians, right, and themselves at the same time, and somehow get themselves so badly burnt and fused that they couldn't even be identified as being Hamas or being Palestinians. They were included as being Israelis. So, and then it was gone.
They first claimed 1,500, 1,400, 1,200. Now I think they're down to below 1,000. It's funny how the number keeps going down, and yet they take their time to analyze, to assess with the most sophisticated medical technologies to actually be able to determine the who's who, and yet they still lied about the numbers. Even though they supposedly care about their dead, they're putting out fake pictures of a dead girl from 2014. So, I mean, in terms of the campaign, when did they start a new one?
See, Nathan,
they're really off the old one. They're just repeating the same lies, and they'll keep repeating the same lies. They'll just, put lipstick on a different pig.
I think
another thing is just real quick.
People that care, people have taken a side now, and they can therefore pump whatever they want. All I ever see when they talk is an ever-decreasing echo chamber. So they can pump out whatever they want. But people who've decided that it was bullshit won't be convinced otherwise.
But that's the problem is what their goal is now is just to pity us against each other. So the pro-Israeli lobby and normal citizens, they're trying to make it that they actually have proof, so that if we're not condemning Hamas or accepting that there were rapes, they're trying to make us look like monsters. That is the whole goal now. Anybody who is pushing or fighting against their narrative, their goal now is to demonize us and discredit us as being bigots, supporters of terrorism. I know they've already been doing it, but they're trying to put this portfolio together that's going to try to convince the rest of the public that what happened, what they say happened, actually happened, and that we are somehow terrorists, domestic terrorists. This is where they're going to try implement or create new laws.
Until they provide the evidence that backs, because we've all been through the intellectual.
Yeah, I get that part, but I get that part, but what you got to do?
I'll just.
No, but that's for you. That's for you, though. I'm saying you got to look at it from a different perspective. They're trying to turn the publics against each other. So they're trying to turn us fully into domestic terrorists. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
I don't think it would make a difference if they had proof of rape, because they've killed 20,000 civilians. So I mean, no matter how many people Hamas raped that day, 20,000 civilians killed. I mean,
look, let's at least stop. What constitutes evidence? It's either a rape kit,
a third party investigator would have to be allowed into the country.
Why are you interrupting me, man? I'm establishing what the baseline for evidence is here. It's real simple.
My bad.
Either the rape victim comes up and definitively says I was raped. That hasn't happened. 2, a rape kit is presented. Right? They've done neither. All they presented is hearsay. Now, 2 months plus later, they're going to put someone up and say they were raped without actually it being proven in real time, or without an opportunity to cross-examine that particular case in real time in a court or something. It's bullshit. I'm not going to take the word of a perpetual liar. So what were you going to say, Jalal?
Yeah, I mean, it's just telling that they allowed a single third-party investigator into the country at all to investigate any of these crimes.
No. So they won't allow for the Red Cross to actually come in. They won't allow for UN inspectors to come in, for instance, to even look at any of the infrastructure, to look at the hospitals, to look at the schools and mosques that they bomb.
I mean, that says it all.
Right? Samuel, what's so funny, man? You got some new material.
Well, are these the same UN inspectors you were criticizing about Russia, or did they change?
Why? What about Russia?
Well, because you were pretty critical of the UN inspectors when they were calling out Russia's war crimes, but now you're saying that the same UN inspectors should be able to go into Gaza and investigate the atrocities. So which one is it?
I never mentioned UN inspectors in Russia.
No.
It's already been debunked. It's already been debunked
No, it
by
was-
an independent third party that the Bucha massacre didn't happen. But you don't know anything about that.
Wait. So wait.